Carlos, I hope you don't have
Welcome
any
to the
surprises for
Sketchstone
us.
Podcast.
Jack Casper's out. Hello, my friend.
Hey, I'm Jack. I'm back. I'm the intro stealer. I'm the punches dealer because Tyrus ain't here.
I usually get job leads too, but it usually has something to do with a weed whacker or some dishes.
I design in Microsoft Excel.
Did she say she designed?
Yeah,
She said Excel. She just said that.
We were busting on PaintShop Pro last week in Windsor, so we got Excel. We got Excel
Yeah.
the actual market. So we got explain this.
What other kind of software do you use? Quicken.
Did Charlie say Quicken? The funniest thing you ever said. I'm literally asking you a question. You know what, Charlie? You know what it is? You know what it is? You're emotional. That's what it is. You're emotional. You can't hear me talk because your emotions are good. You can't hear me. I let you be wrong. I don't mind. I'm nice like that. I'm nice like that, Charlie.
Okay.
You all right? You
I
get a
just
little
think we
emotional.
should bring it in. I can't stand anyone on this podcast.
Hello, friends. This I, Carlos Gomez. Welcome to the Sketchstone Podcast. This week we are speaking to senior graphic designer Scott Carey.
Hey everybody,
Hey Scott, how's it going?
doing well.
Excellent. And as always, we have my boy Charlie B. Williams the third.
Hello, everyone. I am here.
I felt weird because after that I was almost expecting a clap, and then I was
I
just
wanted a clap. I wanted a clap, but
I was
the sound guy is not going to give me a clap.
And now we have crickets.
I'll give you the crickets.
And we have Jack Kasperzak.
Hey there, hey there.
Really?
What? I always gotta hate on my intro.
Sound like Ned Flanders there. Hey there.
Like who? Like who?
Ned
Hey
Flanders?
there, hey there. And hey there, it's Tyrus Gaucher.
I don't know who you're talking to with that tone, but you better watch it.
Hey there.
You kidding this thing serious, man? So excited.
So, what's going on, guys? Anything fun and exciting happened this week?
Yeah, Jake Parker retweeted me.
No, we didn't.
Wow. Wow, he just
It's
thunder, Jack. Wow.
horrible.
Wow, look at the type of person this guy is. Hey, he's
Jack, straighten him out. I'll
so
edit that out. He's
flirty.
horrible.
Look at how much he's smiling right now.
Look at
He's so
Jack even logged off. He was like, I'm done.
He's not. It's blindsided Jack. He didn't know what to do. You see his face when he said it? It
He was like, I'm done. I'm done. I can't work. under
We're
these
sponsored by
conditions."
Red Bull. Red Bull, it keeps you up and gives you
No,
wings.
no, we're not.
Like-
Red
like
Bull
the-
hasn't written not one check. We're not
To
sponsored.
you.
by-
To you.
Yeah.
If you notice, for the last 7 weeks, I've been drinking RedLl. And now I think it's time to announce
Like a
Red Bull.
Christian Bobby Brown thing right now.
We're sponsored by Red Bull.
You know what, Tyrus? You're strike two. You're about to.
Tyrus
You are
is doing
strike
his Michael
two.
Jackson.
Keep it up. See what happens.
Oh,
He's been doing his Michael Jackson Pepsi thing, getting sponsored by himself, just forgetting about it.
Just watch out for fire.
So,
yeah.
Jack,
So how was your week, Carlos?
hang on. I want to hear about Jack. Jack, can you please?
Yeah, Tyrus's mom tweeted me.
You
I
know it's
told you had nice bangs. Like the cut you got.
See, Jack? No one's safe. No one's safe. Hey,
Not from Tyrus's mom, they're not. So, Jack, can you please explain to us what happened with you and Jake Parker?
Whoa.
I am now a proud student of SVS school for the
Ooh.
visual storytelling, or whatever they call it. I should have had that straight.
Spoken like a true student right there. Whatever they teach me.
No, but the videos are pretty good. You know, I mentioned it on there, and I got tweeted by Jake Parker. I was kind of nerd excited.
Nice.
Yeah.
Really?
I
Did he
wanted
just?
him to feel special.
Oh, okay.
Hey, let's talk about Cecil the Lion.
Let's not. Let's talk about Jake Parker and SVS classes. Because Tyrus, you had news. SVS is what?
Oh, so listen, they have a sale right now where you can pay and sign up and get a really huge discount. I believe it's $9.99 a month. It goes up at the end of this month, so take advantage of the sale that they have right now. It goes up, I think, on the 31st. The 31st is the last day. So make sure if you're interested in checking it out, go on, log on, sign up, do the monthly. That's the only way you can be grandfathered in with the deal.
So,
And their URL is svslearn.com.
and how much is that for right now?
Let's look and see. I want to make sure.
And what does it go up?
It's $9.99 if you commit to the full year.
Cool. And what does it go up to if you're lazy?
I think it goes to like $100 a month.
Oh my gosh.
No, really?
No, not $100.
8,000. Get in there now.
Jack goes, no, it's $150 a month if you don't sign up by the 31st. So sign up, players.
Okay. Cool.
It's actually, though, all joking aside, it's a really good program. It's definitely worth it. It's tons of learning, and it's really actually a really good price at $9.99. So $9.98, $9.99, whatever it is. So check it out. You know, if you don't like it, you could always stop after a month. You'd only lose $10. But I'm sure I'm a member of the class. I've been doing it for 2 months now. I love it. It's great. A lot of little things that you miss here and there that you can pick up and add to your repertoire. So check it out.
And check out our previous podcast. We had Will Terry on, the founder, and he talks about it, and it's really, really good. So if you don't know what it is, besides going to the website, check out that last episode we did with Will Terry.
And feel free to email or I am Will Terry and ask him for the black dude discount. All right? He'll know what you're talking about.
No such
I am him.
There's no such thing.
No, I am him and say, hey, I'd like the black dude discount. He'll know what you're talking about. Okay?
Just retweet.
Hey,
You're feeling some jokes right now.
hey, I have something.
Okay.
Uh-oh,
Yeah.
Here we go.
Wait a minute.
Here we go.
Last week, we took about 15 minutes because you went on like a little rant.
I won't take 15 minutes. I promise.
Gosh,
This is not a Carlos corner or whatever. Or,
Carlos's corner.
No, it's not. Not
why
yet.
are you smiling,
Not
Sal?
yet. But if you keep going, it probably will turn into one.
He's threatening. Go ahead.
Candy Getting 2015. I'm stuck on level 680.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Really?
I need people to kick in. I'm stuck.
For real.
So holla at your boy, Candy Crush. Candy Getting 2015.
Look.
No.
We're making sound effects.
No.
Hey, Carlos, from now on, dude, you have to take this through the board before you bring this to the show.
He didn't say anything.
You don't like Candy Getting 2015?
We don't. None of us. I can speak for the whole team.
Kill it, Jack.
Just wait for story time.
Really?
Man.
Really?
Just wait for story time.
It's gonna take everything from you. Reparations.
Let's get back to our guest.
So, Scott, how are you? More importantly, how's your
Scott.
mom?
Scott Carey is a senior graphic designer for a company by the name of Ideal.
Yep.
So, tell us about your background and how you got to where you are today.
Well, I am a graduate of the Illinois Institute of Art in Schaumburg, December '99 graduate. I have been in the POP industry, which is the point of purchase industry, for a little over 15 years now.
What's that mean? What's point of purchase?
Point of purchase is anything that has to do with basically putting product on display, putting it on a shelf, just getting it into the consumer's hands. From anything from new products to existing products to revised products. So, started off in a permanent side of things, which is something that's going to last more than 6 to 9 months. The past 2 years with Ideal, I've been doing more of the temporary side, which is 9 months or less. And So it's a different way of looking at things. But yeah, so I graduated in December of '99. Didn't even realize this industry even existed. Quite frankly, just kind of happened upon it with my first job out of school, and been doing it ever since.
Did you go to school for design or?
No, actually, I went to school for media arts and animation. So that's actually what my degree is in, and that doing those kind of things, especially with my demo reel, we had like a let's go to the lobby kind of thing, where we took iconic scenes and put popcorn and things like that in there, and it got a lot of attention with that. It was a group project, and it got me my first job. So. And I don't really do animation. I can do it. I've done it for a couple of projects, but most of the time it's still shots, renderings, and things like that.
Cool.
At what point did you move from 3D into graphic design?
It's been a gradual switch for that, but it's I still do both. So I work in all the programs, your Illustrator, your Photoshops, InDesign, and 3D Studio Max. And so I have to take the 3D elements and combine it with the graphic design elements.
Did you you said that you work with all the Adobe products.
Yep.
Do you ever get into video or anything, or is it just strictly flat print design?
No, it is mainly flat print design. With I have done video production in the past with my previous job. Nothing as of late, but yeah. So like Premiere and things like that. I haven't probably touched that in a few years, but it's it's still something that's there. It's in the abilities, but it just hasn't been touched for a while.
Hey Scott, I got a question real quick. So with the graphic design side of things in the industry that you're in now, does this stop at the designer level, or are you involved in the production side of it in terms of printing and all that good stuff too?
Both actually. So we do not only just production artwork and for the clients and things like that, but we'll also do the printing of the samples and things like that, cutting them out, and get those ready for customers' approval.
Oh, so you actually cut out the stuff that you design also then too?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So it's especially with the corrugate side, which is where I'm in now, which is just cardboard, in layman's terms, kind of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's insane to see the difference between the different realms of permanent versus temporary.
Yeah. How was that learning curve then? Because that's like more something you're like taking it from off the computer to actually having to be a craftsman.
Yeah.
Because you can mess up your stuff, right?
Oh yeah. It actually takes a lot of thought. When you're actually designing something in 3D, you can do anything. You can make it look like anything, but when you're actually dealing with an actual material like cardboard or thin plastics and things like that, you have to be cognizant of what's actually possible, or what it will look like in order to achieve that look.
So do you have a team that kind of, because you have these kind of 3D setups that are made out of cardboard. Do you have an engineer and a team that designs that aspect, or is that also part of the designer's job?
No, we actually have structural engineers who do that. They've gone to school for display work in the corrugate industry, and so we hand off the displays to them, or we work hand in hand with them.
Okay.
And are you the owner of each project in terms of like the lead, or does that go by designer and then you build a team around that, or is there someone else that's organizing each of those different departments?
Well, there is a creative director, and she hands out the projects to each one, and because the turnaround is so fast on these things, a display is probably designed within 2 weeks, from concept to for the simple ones, from concept to sample, within that amount of time. So it doesn't take long.
Oh wow, yeah, that's pretty quick.
What are some of the companies that you work with?
We work with anything, ranging from hair care products, We deal with craft, all the ConAgra products, which is an umbrella of like the Rotels, the all of the different skinny, the Skinny Pop we work with. We work with snack packs, Jello, anything like that. We deal with a lot with. We also deal with names are escaping me right now, but like Jello, things like that. So we actually are getting a lot of product in before it actually gets to shelves. But that's the food side of things. But we also deal with Mattel, Hasbro, dealing on the toy side of things too.
I know you had a bunch of examples that you were going to show. Do you have those?
I do not. I sent them to you.
Oh, of course.
Have that ability.
Carlos has some.
Amongst yourselves.
So Jack, here's another thing too. I find one of the other projects that we're working on at work is we're working with Kraft also, and I found out this week that they just had that merger with Heinz. So has that changed a bunch of stuff for you guys having to reprint a bunch of stuff then? Because now it's Kraft Heinz Company instead of just Kraft by itself.
Not yet.
Not yet.
It's mainly the one how we're dealing with that right now is a lot of personnel changes on their side. Mm-hmm. So we're just kind of waiting to see how what falls out and how things react. As of right now, it's business as usual.
Hey Charlie.
Still...
go ahead, Scott. Finish up.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, Charlie, way to work in that you have a job.
That's been stated now for like 3 or 4 podcasts.
Well, I noticed. They're like, yeah, I have a job, and is your job anything like my job? Because here's one of my clients. Are you related in any way? Get out of here, Charlie. What do you think this is?
Wow.
Are you kidding me right now?
Really? I had a job before.
Kinda.
Yep.
Hey, bums when they push those carts around and they collect cans? That's kind of a job, too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's levels to this. You know that song with Drake? There's levels to this.
Wait. Oh, really?
You're right above that. I'm just messing around. I'm messing. Hey, Charlie.
I was wondering if you were going to integrate the Drake thing.
Oh, listen. Hey, should we talk about that right now? Let's save it. Let's save it.
I'm sorry.
Let's save it. Hey, Drake, I know you're watching. Shout out to what you did. It was amazing. Hit me on Twitter. Let's talk about this. That was crazy.
Yeah, we're gonna try to get Drake on the schedule.
Shout out to Canada, Toronto,
OVO.
Tokyo. You know what I'm saying? We do it big when we travel. World class. Passport stay stacked with stamps.
Would you say you charged up right now?
Oh,
It's
cool.
that Red Bull, dude. Thanks, Red Bull. Thank you.
Well, we're also sponsored by Reese's Pieces Cups.
Jeez. Can you say that again?
Oh. Boy, if I had a taser, you'd be finished.
Whoa.
Carlos, listen, the money's coming, dude. The check is in the mail. Don't worry about it. Let's go.
Hey, Scott, when did you find out that you were good at design?
Still waiting.
Paycheck came through.
First second.
That's a tough question to answer because every single project is different. There is when you start a project and you're looking at it, you can tell right away whether or not there's a definite interest within your brain on the project, or you're just going to be you're going to be throwing what you can at it. There are certain companies and things like that you can definitely see that whoever's working on it has a different perspective and different feeling on it. But with each project, it's different. I like working with that. I like seeing something go from nothing to something actually physical when it's a sample and being sent out for production. I've always felt that way. Even when I was doing the permanent stuff, it was cool to see something that was nothing and then it turned into whatever was being sent out.
So let's talk about your process real fast.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say I come to you and I say, hey, Scott, I had this idea, Candygan 2015.
I would turn it down.
Good job, Scott.
This isn't current affairs, buddy.
So I say, I have Candygan 2015. and I need a point of purchase for Candy Get in 2015.
Thank you, Jack.
Let's say,
That was so awkward.
let's say a client comes to you with this idea.
Yep.
Walk us through the process or the life cycle of a project.
Okay.
Does it go to a project manager?
Typical projects come into a salesperson. That salesperson vets it and makes sure that it's something that that's something we can help with. Once that happens, it goes to the creative director, and then we start working on it. In general, if it's a standard display that we've done before that we can just like reskin, it doesn't take long at all to turn that around. We're talking less than probably 3 days to knock that out. If it's something like completely from scratch, you're probably looking at 2 weeks, 1 week for conceptual, and then a couple days for structure and a couple days for rendering. But it just depends on the size and what you're looking for.
So then the design is done. Do you guys take the design then and put it on a 3D model?
Yeah.
And then show the client?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we take everything full scale. So if there's customer product, we'll model that. It's a 1-to-1 scale because Max can go to the 100th of an inch, or even further. But that's how I go. And we model everything to scale. That way, everything is represented, and we know if it's going to fit or not. We have to do planograms for the customers as well, so they know exactly what product is going where. So we're very familiar with the product and everything that goes into it.
Do you have a library of products that you guys have?
Yeah.
You just pull out a model and put.
We do.
The design
We have every product that we touch, or every image or anything like that we've ever worked on in terms of product, we'll keep in our little library, and we'll literally update that every year with new products or new sizes. Sometimes they just literally will change a box size by 1/4 of an inch, which doesn't seem like much, but when you have 8 of them across the way, that's 2 inches of difference. So you gotta watch out for that. But yeah, so and the packaging changes not only in size but also artwork too. So constantly we're going on to our customers' websites and actually downloading the actual art files and re-putting them on the product. But so yeah, we keep that way. We don't have to keep modeling it every single time. It just makes sense that way.
Mm-hmm. And then your machines obviously then have the model information in it, so then it goes through and it cuts the product.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we use Ardios CAD for that kind of structure, and that literally it lays everything out flat in on a plane, and we can take that information and put it in the Max, and it's folded perfectly, so it has the corrugation running in the right direction and things like that. And yeah, then we can just take that information, put our artwork on it, and then put that in the Max, or we take it right to the table and cut it out.
And then when you guys are done cutting and doing all that stuff, do you just take the product that you just created and put it in a big ass box and send it out to your clients, or do you guys take it somewhere and build it yourself?
No, well, it depends. A couple different things. If it's going to like a sales show or something like that, we'll probably more than likely send it out flat with either fake product in it or real product. Most of the time with trade shows and things like that, it goes out with fake product just because they don't want that sitting on the trade show floors and things like that. But yeah, we'll if we need to, we also do ship tests. So we'll build a full display, load it with actual product, ship it to a ship tester, and they will literally beat the hell out of it, trying to see what will fail, whether it's the display, the palette, you name it, they'll do that. And with some of our customers, when they send the stuff to Walmart, that's a requirement. It has to go through that test in order for it to survive Walmart's conditions.
I
think everyone needs to be prepared to survive
Yeah,
Walmart conditions.
I was going to say that's not only just because of the way Walmart or the handlers get it to the floor. It's also because what's on the floor, the people in Walmart.
You ever see that one picture? But no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's a great website, by the way.
Describe
People in Walmart.
describe some of the funnest projects you've ever worked on.
Funnest?
English teacher just shuddered and rolled over in their grades. By the way.
Some of the more enjoyable
More
projects
funner
that
projects.
you've worked on.
More funner projects. Go ahead.
The more funner. Well, let's see. Yeah, so some of the best projects I've worked on in terms of my enjoyment. One of them was in the permanent side of things. Was actually I think the 40th anniversary or something. It was a big anniversary for Mr. Potato Head, and we actually did I want to say a half-scale replica of the display because the large one would have required molds and things like that. But we actually had I want to say a 3-foot tall Mr. Potato Head, like cut in half. We actually had somebody in Chicago take the actual pieces of Mr. Potato Head and enlarge them so that they'd be the right size. And we actually had a working 3-foot tall Mr. Potato Head.
How do you find someone that can do that?
Yeah.
Got this guy in Chicago.
Yeah, it was amazing. It's actually the same person who does all the fish molds for the Sheds Aquarium, the ones that hang from the ceiling. The same company, and they did that for us, and it was so much fun. And we had the wire components to go into it too. But most recently, it's dealing with like the most recent Transformers movie, or trying to figure out a way to build a display that's interactive for kids while it's has like mega blocks on it, things like that. How do you get something in a store environment that's interactive with blocks that can literally walk off? It's going through those kind of interactions that you just sit down and you literally just let your mind flow into the paper and see what comes out.
When was the first time that you walked into a store and you saw your work?
Personal question. Well, the one that I get the most enjoyment out of is actually still there. It's just a book display, but it's in Michael's, and we affectionately called it the doghouse display because it was shaped like a typical doghouse. It was or even a house, but all the sides were made out of slat wall, so that's where you can put in hooks and things like that. But one side you could actually lift up like a garage door and have storage underneath. It was pretty cool. That was one that it's still there. It's probably been 10 years since we produced that. We only ran it once, and they still look like we just ran it.
Huh. So no one's tried to steal it. It has officially survived Walmart.
It has officially survived Michael's, for 10 years, and it's pretty insane. But that was a fun one to build too, because you're out there and you actually have little guys standing inside, screwing it together, and then crawling out. But it was a lot of fun.
So it was assembled by hobbits. Is that what you're telling us?
Bilbo Baggins was the creative director for that.
I knew it.
Probably more like Gimli's, but they had to be big and strong to lift the things up. But
don't get Scott going on that nerd.
That's creative director.
What? Wow. What is this, Harry Potter?
Don't get Scott going on that nerd crap, dude.
We can say Jawas. You want to say Jawas in there?
Ooh. Okay.
Okay.
I don't know what's happening here, but I feel like we're visiting nerds right now.
All I want to say is I warned you guys.
I'll just push up my glasses and leave.
Straighten out the pocket protector. It's all good.
Yeah, well, like I said at the beginning, it was an industry that I did not know existed. I went into a store, I picked up a product. That's what I did. When I first started seeing my stuff show up in stores, it was cool. It was gratifying to seeing, once again, something that I took from nothing, and through the course of our this production, turned into something. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So with that said, how do you stay inspired to continuously create new products? Like if you're constantly working on craft products,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
you're gonna get burnt out.
Yep. One of the things that I like to do is, one, I like to alternate which projects I'm working on. So unfortunately, it's a lot of food, but at the same time, when we have a proactive project or something along those lines that we're able to expand our mind, it does become a little daunting because you've been so used to just doing step 1, step 2, step 3, and when you have this proactive project that you can do, A to Z, you're just like, okay, where do I go? Honestly, Pinterest is incredible in terms of just like
amazing. Pinterest is
yeah.
Let's talk about Pinterest for a second.
And to be honest with you, I swore I would never go to that site.
Someone pass Charlie a towel.
Pinterest is you should just look me up.
Look at
Well, yeah, because it's amazing what's on there. I mean, it's not just
Google my Pinterest.
I've never met anybody. This is true. I've never met anybody in my life who is more proud of their Pinterest account than Charlie. Now, wait, listen. I'll say it's with merit. His Pinterest account is crazy.
But hold on. I need to go look right now. What's your Pinterest?
Go look right now. It's crazy.
Google my Pinterest account.
Hey, tell him, Charlie. Give it to everybody so they can check it out.
Let's give it out.
Charlie BW3. Yeah.
Charlie BW with 3 sticks in a bag.
If you want a board that shows blades of grass, it's there. A board that shows bricks, it's there. Like
it is.
Charlie is bonkers with this Pinterest.
It's the ultimate reference for artists. If you're not on Pinterest and you don't have a board like me, you're not winning at life.
You're missing something serious.
I'm winning at life because I just go to your boards.
Exactly.
I don't have to create my own boards.
So make boards on Pinterest.
This is what real artists do, Tyrus. You need to catch up with my skills.
Real artists are making art. They're not painting pins.
Hey, I'm making art too. But everybody
use those pins to make art.
Some people use Excel. Some people use pins.
I mean, you can do everything. You can have tutorials. You can have. It's your digital library.
Hey, I'm not. Listen, his Pinterest game is crazy, and it's certainly a good tool. I'm just saying, I've never met anybody out of the thousand. Huh?
You know who got me? Right?
Dan, right?
Yes. Yeah. Benny Williams, point pusher. He showed me Pinterest one Sunday afternoon, and that was it.
We're done.
Downhill.
It was pretty much porn to Charlie. He's been whacking off ever since. Uncontrolled.
I'm so tired.
Just randomly meetings like.
What?
Make that face again.
This is Charlie in meetings. Pen. I have to add this to this collection. This is the best.
Alrighty then.
I even got private boards.
Pin it.
No, Charlie, why do you have baby oil on your computer? Pinterest.
Yeah, exactly. It's nothing.
It'll change your life, Tyrus.
Is that
good, Charlie?
So if you want to look at my Pinterest page and be in awe at my awesomeness,
just go to pinterest.com/isthatcocoabutter.
Pinterest.com/CharlieBW3. You'll see it.
Charlie B. Truck W with 3 sticks in the back.
It's the number 3. Don't listen to whatever that dude just said. We're not gonna make sure that doesn't stick. But no, it's got a bunch of different stuff. Yeah,
nope.
I got about let's see.
Unacceptable.
I got following about 210 people. I got about 1,200 followers right now. 2,293 pins. 33 boards.
Charlie, do you know why you have 1,200 followers? Watch this. Do you know why you have 1,200 followers?
Why?
Because you're doing the work for them, so they don't have to build boards.
Hey,
imagine that.
Someone has to help the world out. Become better.
That is
That's
what
right.
it's there
Hey,
for.
here's a saying I have. Everybody can own the car wash. Somebody got to wash the cars. And in this case, Charlie, you wash the cars.
Charlie's washing all the cars.
I own the car wash. Shut up.
No,
You own the
washing
sponges.
cars,
I own the car wash franchise.
You own the sponges,
times.
a.k.a. pins. That's what you own.
And he rented the bubbles.
Hey, like Drake said, I knew I was going to get this when I'm at the top. I welcome all this. This residual. It's okay. It's gonna happen.
Wait,
Butchered.
what did Drake say?
Started from the
What did
bottom
Drake say?
up in here.
Wait, Charlie, what did Drake say?
Look, you guys are
Look
going
at this from the top.
Good.
If you're listening to this podcast
Good.
on iTunes,
I'm feeling
Charlie
myself right
has
now.
officially just put on his baby girl sunglasses.
Feeling myself.
And it's dark as hell in his room.
It is dark. He wears
Hey,
his sunglasses
hey,
at night
hey,
in the
My
dark
Pinterest
room.
account is brighting this room up right now.
Hey, gentlemen, I think it's time for a roasting session.
Good.
Charlie, did you just put on those 3D IMAX glasses in the middle of this podcast?
Yes, I did. How'd you guess?
You big $2 a pair of Walgreens sunglasses wearing with that Indiana hat. Charlie,
My
when did you
name
become
is
a Cleveland?
Pete. I put him on as a shocker. Man, I
love this blue blockers.
Hey, I welcome you. This is gonna happen at the top.
Baby girl's like, Daddy, I want to watch 3D Veggie Tales. Where are my glasses at? He's like, it's real bright.
And Charlie
It's
take them
real
off.
bright.
Right.
Daddy,
It's Pinterest
right,
time,
my
honey.
baby girl.
These my Easy glasses. Or Stevie Wonder, whatever one you want to say.
Let's go with Stevie Wonder. Easy.
Or Ray Charles.
That one was a tough. He had a tough life, that kid.
no.
All right. I'll take them back off. I'm good.
Thank you,
So,
Charlie.
hey, Charlie, one
Come
last
back.
question.
Oh,
Did you
okay.
ever pin those glasses on Pinterest?
Yes, I did. You can find them. Approximately.
At pinterest.com/isthatcocoabutter/mybadassglasses.
My glasses are made for wearing.
Yeah, put the frozen
Usual
cups of
they
water
are.
back on. We're tired of looking at
Good. I'm good. It's gonna happen. It's
We're
gonna
tired of
happen.
looking at those fake
When you-
3D IMAX
When
glasses.
you're at the top, people with dirty T-shirts on gonna try to talk to you.
Hold on.
Okay.
Why are you wearing a flannel shirt in the middle of the summertime with
You
a
know
T-shirt
why?
underneath it? Talk to me.
I'm cool. I gotta keep myself warm.
So,
Yeah.
Scott.
Think about that. Think about that.
Jack, please.
Nah.
I'm not giving that anything.
Yeah.
That's not worth my time to go press a button.
Yeah. Pinterest.com/CharlieW3. It's amazing. It'll change your life.
Scott, did you see
Transform
it?
your art. It's amazing.
It's insane.
I'm done. You like it. You like it, don't you, Scott? Yeah. Say it. Say it. It's the best thing you've ever seen.
Yes, I like my job. I do. Speaking of my job,
Good segue.
You know what?
Of my job.
My Pinterest
Body
account
bag,
is more
Charlie.
interesting. Let's keep talking
Body
about this.
bag.
Look, Scott. What do you need, Scott? What do you need for your next project? I probably have it
A
on
new
this.
topic.
What do you need?
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure you do.
I have it all, Scott.
You do.
So yeah, let's talk about that for a second, Scott.
Old
What
lady board meeting.
what type of things do you tag or do you pin on Pinterest?
Oh, you want me to tell you?
No, not you. I'm asking our guest.
Does the B
Oh,
stand for
Charlie,
Scott?
we
Yes, huh?
already know.
I heard
We know you
Pinterest.
tag everything or you pin
Charlie
everything.
Scott.
No,
We
no,
already
I'm
know
very
that.
selective of my
You
own
have
opinion.
you have a
You have to
very
be.
large and
Say it.
awe-inspiring
Robust.
Pinterest.
My
Oh,
Pinterest is large.
pause. This is getting out of
So,
control.
I
Scott-
got a big ass pin.
Scott, how big is your Pinterest?
Yeah. Well, I don't want to compare myself to Charlie, but I got
You better not.
nothing.
Pause.
You better not.
My Pinterest game is small compared to Charlie's.
Oh my
Let's
God.
face it.
Hey,
What are we
don't
doing,
worry.
gentlemen?
Hey, don't worry about
What are we
Charlie.
doing?
I've seen his pins. It's
Oh my God. What is
Whoa,
going
whoa,
on
whoa.
right now?
Okay, all right.
You ain't seen my pins.
With that, it's like it's anything. Because I found that in this industry, like anything, or even just in any art form, anything can become inspiration. There's a lot of typography stuff on Pinterest that is it's amazing, and I look at that and I'm like, how in the hell does somebody do that? And then I'm like, oh, wait, you know what? I can use that in some way, shape, or form, not necessarily as a font, but as a design shape in my graphics. Architecture is very big in terms of, how they build something works the same way in how we build something. It just goes from there. We can also use it for image shots that we want to use in our graphic displays or in our artwork. We can do that too.
Speaking of font and fontography and all that good stuff, do you have a favorite font?
My favorite font is whatever pisses off graphic designers. Comic Sans, Times New Roman. So, and I always mess with the kerning just so it's just enough off. So, no, yeah, that's like my lot in life. Is like I love watching graphic designers move stuff, and by love I mean I hate. When they just literally sit there with the nudge tool and they just keep going back and forth one pixel at a time. I could sit there and murder people all day.
Artistry.
So let's talk about that for a second. What's the one part of designing that just drives you batty? Is that it?
I think it's the painting.
Well, yeah, it's the always modifying something. It's like that looks like it's a hair too low or whatever, and you're like, you move it up, it doesn't look any different, but they're like, yeah, that's perfect. You're like, really? You've done that to what? So
have you ever done this where someone is looking at your design and they say, I don't know, just move it over to the right, and you walk to your desk, you don't touch anything, you just send the same exact file?
Yes.
Now, and they're like, yes, perfect.
I love it. You're like, yeah, I totally moved that. Yes, that has happened a couple of times.
That sounds more like you hating an art director. It's like spinning over you. Because that's usually when that happens, right? Like, it's some type of lead or somebody, like those pictures online, the hovering art director. Like,
exactly. Change their color.
To the left, 50%.
It could also be salespeople who think that they, because they've been doing this for so long, they have an art degree.
Yeah.
And while it's their customer, it's like, no, you don't really know what you're talking about. So here's something that may or may not have changed. Tell me what you think. But at the same time, I don't have a problem saying, I don't see a difference, and I think it looks better this way. So
who gets
kind of have to stand up for your work. What's that?
Who gets the final say with that? At the end of the day, is it you? Is it you? Like, what? It looks good. Ship it.
Customer. The customer gets the final say. Not for the politically correct answer, but when we're creating artwork like that, it really doesn't go through committee internally. Okay. We get it to a point where we like it. If we have problems with it, we can always ask somebody like their opinion. But most of the time, we just send it straight off to the customer and see what they think.
Okay.
So yeah, so we don't have one of the hoverers, but I have dealt with them in the past, and the person always has to have their twist on it, no matter what, whether or not it's the right one.
And that's no matter where you are.
Exactly. Exactly.
One of my favorite sayings that I always say is, no one wants to be the artist until the artist shows up. And then all of a sudden everyone wants to art direct, and everyone knows, and that blue isn't quite friendly enough, and
yeah, or and they'll say, well, I didn't really know what I was looking for until I saw it in front of me with your artwork, so let's change it to the way I'm looking at it now. And while that's okay, it's okay to say, it's not necessarily good every single time you're turning something in, or working as a group on a project. It's there comes a point in time when some people just have to know that everybody has their own artistic style, and let it go from there.
So what's your favorite part of the design process?
Finding that one design that you want to move forward with. When you've gone through 20 or 30 sketches, and you finally get to that one, And it could be the very first one you did. You still did the 20 or 30 sketches, and you're just like, you know what? That's still the best one. When you've gone through that process and you see the result of what you've done, that's very gratifying to me.
So you actually do sit there with a piece of paper and sketch out ideas?
Yeah. Oh yeah. In fact, it's typically my sketching is a lot faster in 3D Studio in the Max program, just because I can modify things a lot faster than I can with that than I can erasing. But I also know that there's limitations to what I can do in the program as opposed to what I can do on paper. But yeah, I do mainly all my concepting on paper.
Very cool.
Just pencil and eraser.
So I know that you were at one point you were a teacher.
Yes.
Let's talk about that for a second.
If you must.
What
that bad?
subjects were you teaching?
Well, I taught. Let's see. It's going back a few years. I've taught 3D. I've taught Flash. I taught Flash for the internet back when it was in the heyday of not, you had to like program within Flash, not like, it's a little bit easier now from what I've seen. I don't use it anymore, so that could be.
I don't think anyone else does either.
Wow.
Okay.
Except for
Carlos,
Carlos.
you're hanging on.
Yeah,
Hanging on for dear life.
still using it.
You are the user group.
The Flash user.
Carlos shows up to the meetings with a cup of coffee and a laptop. That's it.
He's not only a user, he's also the president.
Founder, coworker.
Co-worker,
Way
secretary.
to dig it in. Way to dig it in.
Mistress.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Flash for a second. Story time.
Oh,
Oh, no.
gosh.
Story time.
Current affairs.
It's Carlos's corner.
So back when Scott was teaching Flash, he asked me to come talk to his class, and it was at the point where I wasn't even using the creative part of Flash. I was programming more than anything. And so Scott goes, we're gonna teach the class how to do this, and the class was just asking questions, and they were going all crazy. And I said, yeah, so if you want to take this circle and move it from this side to that side and change it from blue to green, you just do like this. And Scott had this one student was like, how does the software know to make it green? And I'm like, well, because you just click on here and you tell it to turn green. Well, no. How does the software know right there? How does it know that that's green? And I'm like, and Scott watched me like I was trying to be patient. It was like 10 minutes trying to talk to this kid about why is that green. And Scott finally, like, right when I was about to be like, look, you no more questions. Scott was like, why don't we, we'll talk about that later after class, Let's go ahead and keep on moving with it. You remember that?
I do remember that.
Oh my God.
Oh, so you serious?
Yeah. He was dead serious.
Yeah, he was not. Yeah, there were.
Did you feel?
I've had some students that have absolutely blown me away as to, how they. I taught at a couple schools. I taught at Illinois Institute of Art actually, and I also taught at Westwood College of Technology. I had some students at Westwood College of Technology that they literally, it was back when Edward Norton's Hulk came out, the Incredible Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
I had a student come up to me during class one time and he goes, who do they have playing the Hulk? And I said, well, they have Edward Norton. She's like, no, who do they have him playing the Hulk when he's all big and green? I'm like, well, that's all CGI. She's like, no, that's an actor. I'm like, I'm pretty sure Lou Ferrigno, while he might voice the Hulk, I'm pretty sure he's not that big. So I'm pretty sure it's CGI, and it's.
There was one. I was in an illustration class, and it was an Adobe Illustrator class.
Okay.
I had this illustration. This guy was dunking a basketball and shattered the rim, and there's like chunks of the backboard.
He shattered the rim, huh?
Or he shattered the backboard smart. And there's chunks of backboard flying through the air, and I had to explain to this one girl why the different chunks weren't really part of the actual backboard.
Like, because they're part of the rim, not the backboard.
Hey, Carlos.
Jack wants to talk, and that's what he's gonna say. You're gonna waste your 3 minutes on that shit?
Hey, Carlos.
What?
I'm gonna need my story time back from here on out. Thanks. Thank you very much. 3 weeks of this is ridiculous, dude. Story time now belongs back to me. I need you to make a special entrance with some good music, and I'll continue with the stories from here on out.
No.
Oh yeah. Yes.
So I had to explain. I had to explain why I could just make a shape, and it doesn't necessarily have to fit into the broken part of the backboard.
Yeah, it's not a puzzle. It's
just freehand. It's all right.
Yeah.
Would you ever go back to teaching at all?
I would. There is definitely a certain satisfaction of seeing on your students' eyes when they finally get something. They're struggling with the concept, and you get to that point, and they like the light turns on finally, and you're just like, okay.
Yeah. That's cool. What you mean by click and drag.
Yeah, exactly. Wait a minute. Right click. Holy crap.
Amazing. I remember there's a friend of all of ours, a common friend of all of ours that always told me that story where he had a student. You'd be like, all right, click, and she would click. All right, cool. Now double click. She would click twice. Okay. Now click and drag, and she would click, but then go and move the mouse. No. So he had to teach this student for 10 minutes how to use the mouse.
It is crazy. But yeah. I would totally do that. I think, I also go back to school too. I enjoy being taught now as well. You asked about the inspiration before, and the art medium is never totally learned. I mean, there's always somebody doing something new or something different with it. That's at work we always put together our own tutorials and things like that too. So we're always teaching other people in our group other ideas or other ways to do something or even use the program. So it's a constant learning process.
So since you're talking about making your own tutorials and stuff like that, I'm sure you've seen all of these online schools and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you think that's the wave of the future?
For some of the electronic medium, I could see that. For the practical mediums, there is nothing like getting into a group of people who are, getting their hands dirty with chalk and charcoal and, just, for lack of a better words, screwing around for an hour and a half with the paper. It's pretty cool. Everybody looks at things differently. While you may be doing, a vase in the middle with roses, everybody is getting a different view of it, and so you get to see different perspective. But yeah, I do believe, there's a website online that I use for Max tutorials that we subscribe to at work, and we just go on there and we see what's new, and it's very, very functional and very intuitive, and it helps great. See what the new technology is, because every year they come out with a new one, and they're just like, hey, by the way, now you know all this, here's more. They're like, well, I haven't even learned what's on the last one yet, so don't
worry, it's going to get phased out.
Exactly, or be replaced by something a lot easier. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
I remember you talking about going to some drawing classes.
Mm-hmm.
How's that going?
It went well. That was part of what I was saying earlier. It's fun to get into a room of strangers who are just there to brush up on their 2D skills. And amazingly enough, going all through art school and through my life, there are some mediums that I've never dabbled with. That being like chalk and charcoal, as like just sitting down and doing just that medium. And it was a lot of fun. It helped me with my depth in my drawings, and that's why I went. And I'll probably be going back again this winter. It's just at a local art gallery, and they just have evening classes. So.
Do you find that those classes help you in your day-to-day job?
Oh yeah, they definitely helped me with my concepting and just being able to get my point across with the displays that I'm drawing. I tend to be a very loose drawer, so I tend to be very sketchy. Not a whole lot of detail in my drawings, but once I get to 3D, it's very detailed. But I think going to those classes helped me finite those details in the 2D sketch.
Very cool. So I got another story time. I was waiting for Tyrus to melt.
I think we could change your font, Tyrus, to story time. We talk about story time? Unbelievable.
Story time.
Go for it, Tyrus. This is your intro, Tyrus.
So back a few months ago, I was invited to. It was a pilot for a show. I can't really talk about it too much because I was on NDA, but I was able to get some of the characters.
Can you tell us whose house it was in, at least?
Your mom's.
Mm.
I've seen that show.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
I was invited to be a part of a pilot show where I was able to get the characters from Robots and Aliens and this game that I built and put them all together. And I reached out to Scott, and he printed out all of my cartoon characters. And Choopy was like 4 feet tall. Rob was 6 feet tall. The farmer was 6 feet tall, and the cow was just huge. And I was able to go in there, and it was just me and my cardboard cutouts. So I got a crazy hookup by Mr. Scott. So yet again, thank you.
You're welcome.
Unfortunately, the show got charlied. And
I don't know what that means.
Does that mean it went on Pinterest? It got pinned?
It got pinned.
But haters are gonna hate. I accept this. 'Cause that's what happens when you're at the top. Let's go.
Like
But
Drake,
anyway,
right?
yeah.
Charlie?
Nice
So-
Drake, man.
So,
Everybody tries to get meat.
I was able to call up one of my buddies, and he gave me the hookup. Scott sent out this bit. As a matter of fact, if you look over my whatever shoulder this is, that box right there, those are all my cardboard cutouts. So yeah,
Very detailed.
really cool. So let's talk about that for a second.
Yep.
Let's talk about reaching out to your friends for hookups. At what point is it a good idea? What point is it just you being just way too needy? Like I reach out to Jack, let's say. I'm writing a cartoon pitch Bible for Robots and Aliens, and I reach out to Jack all the time. I'm not sure when I'm gonna piss you off, and you'll be like, "That's enough. Do it yourself."
Yeah.
You just did.
Started about an hour ago. Yeah, you know, as in any industry, it's literally who you know. there's a reason why LinkedIn is so popular. It's a way to stay in contact with people that you may just barely know, but you may be able to use down the line. And I don't mean like use as in like, haha, guess what I'm going to get out of this guy. It may be a contact that you can reach out to and be like, hey, do you remember me? We met so-and-so, and I was wondering if you wanted to help out with this project. Stuff like that grows immensely when you start with contacts like that. You reached out to me with that project, and it was like, hell yeah, I want to help. I'm gonna do everything I can to get this stuff to you for this event, and yeah, I enjoy doing that kind of stuff.
But you guys, like, how many times have you guys just been sitting around and someone that you know calls you up and is like, hey, can you do this logo for me real quick?
Like all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, with that kind of thing, I agree. It's tough to be like, hey, can you do this, and be expecting it for free. That's probably where people will start being like, stop calling me because I don't have time to do this for free. If you want help with doing it and being like, I can buy you something you need later on, or I can float you some money. I don't have it right now, or whatever. I can, on the back end of things, I think people will be more willing to help with that. And I don't know what you guys think of that, but I think when people call up and expect things for free, that's when it really starts grinding people's gears.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's it's like a very slippery slope on how much you get asked. I mean, I've been asked many times by a lot of different people for different stuff, or different favors, or different things. I think you just have to pick your battles. And
True.
A lot of times you have to, be the person to offer to pay. And treat your friend like you want be treated by like a good client, and just don't see him as your friend, see him as a artist that you really want to work with, and be truly appreciative that they're helping you out. But 9 times out of 10, a lot of people don't see that. And some people are really nice to their friends and then get taken advantage of. I think people might get taken advantage of from their friends more than by not paying attention, like other people.
Yeah, and I think that's because the people don't want to say no.
Yeah.
Or don't feel like they can say no, but...
Yeah, and I think a lot of times, like, it's your friends and family that don't even really understand the full extent of what they're asking you to do. Whereas, like, somebody who's specifically seeking out a logo designer or animator or something, they kind of know what they're getting into and what they're looking for. It's like your distant cousin who's like, oh, you, like, do animation, right? Could you do a logo for me? And it's like, what if I don't do logos? You don't even know how much that costs, so...
Tyler, I think we had this conversation one time.
We never had this conversation
with students. No, with students.
We never talked about it. Are you kidding me right now? The nerve of you to act like we talked about this before. Are you kidding me right now, Charlie? Okay. Go ahead, Carlos. What else do you have?
This is why I hate people on this podcast. This is why.
No. Seriously. We never talked about this. Go ahead, Carlos.
Oh my God.
But I always get requests like, hey, my son was taking his baseball team picture, but he didn't wash his jersey, so can you put his number on it? Or, hey, can you take me off of this background and just put it in like a transparent background or something like that? Like all of this photo editing stuff, can you take all the scratches and the watermarks off of this? Like, that's a lot of work. I understand I make it look easy, but damn.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it is.
You want me to do, like, people make a lot of money doing this, and you want me to do it for free?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's generally people's thought process. They're like, man, this costs a lot of money. I'll have my friend do it for free. Which is kind of messed up.
Yeah, and if you see that, then that's when you should be like, I'll give you half of that, maybe? At least something to at least offer something, just so it doesn't feel like they're being taken advantage of. But You know, or be honest with them up front. Be like, I really can't pay you for this. Can you do this? And don't be like, will you do this for me? Like, you know, can you do this for me? Because we've all been there. We've all been, you know, down on our luck, and we need help from a friend, and we call them up. You know.
Yeah.
But I think it's when it's repetitive and constantly needing, and it's become an abusive relationship at that point.
Yeah. Go ahead, Curtis.
So I was going to transform the talk about needing help into actually needing financial help and crowdsourcing and crowdfunding, I should say. So, for example, we have one of our friends / previous guests, Jibba Anderson. He's doing this project called 4 pages, 16 bars. He's doing an Indiegogo project. And I reached out to him today, and I was like, hey, man, you know, it doesn't cost us anything to talk about this project on the podcast. I mean, it's very relevant to what we do, and it's not any skin off of our nose to talk about it for a second. I mean, Jibba was a guest earlier in the podcast. He's doing an Indiegogo page. Anthony Piper, who's doing Trill League, he was also a friend of the panels and is associated to this project. So it's not a big deal to talk about this Indiegogo and your project and all this good stuff. So with that being said, go to Indiegogo.com / no, for real. Go to Indiegogo and then do a search for 4 pages, 16 bars.
Yeah, and we spoke on it a little bit before, so if you're kind of wondering what it is and stuff like that, go back to our Comic-Con podcast back when Chicago Comic-Con was just about to come up, and you can hear a little bit more about it, and then just go to the page and watch the video. I think it's
in a brief synopsis of it, though, Jibba wanted to go out. Back in the day, people would make what's called a mixtape, and they would get a bunch of music together and just blend it all together, make a tape, get the party started, you're off and running. So Jibba wanted to do something like that, but visually. So what he did is he went out and got a collection of artists, got them together, and they got a section of these pages, and they were able to do, it's basically a conglomeration of the different artists doing their styles and all that stuff. So it's like freestyle art. Blended into a mixtape. So yeah.
So it's like your best work in a confined number of pages. You know.
That's cool.
Yeah. So go to Indiegogo.com /projects /4 pages 16 bars. God, that's long. Go to Indiegogo and do a search
Just look for 4 pages, 16 bars.
4 pages, 16 bars, and it'll pop up. Get out there and
Did somebody say bars? Somebody give me a beat. What is going on? Carlo. All right, Jack. Maybe I should do. Jack, give me a funky beat. Carlo.
No. You don't have your mind.
Here's a beat. Come on.
All right, story time, ladies and gentlemen. No, I can't tell that story. You got to give me a moment.
I got excited. What are you doing?
Dude, I have to go through. I can't just start talking.
Once upon a time,
and incriminate myself.
Jesus. Amen.
I can't incriminate myself. I had to go all the way through the story before. This one involved me and Carlos, a dorm room, a 12-inch snake, and a blonde. But it's not appropriate for this podcast. I have to categorize these. I can't just. Carlos knows. So.
Boy, this is a family show.
That's right. For the family.
So now let's talk about crowdsourcing, or crowdfunding. What's the panel's opinion when it comes to crowdfunding? Is it going to ruin the quality of content that's out there that's being made? For example, if I have a lot of friends but a crappy project and I get funded because I'm a nice guy, so now my project is going to be made even though it's a little bit crappy. Versus that one artist, we all know artists that work really hard. Maybe they're introverts, they don't have a lot of friends, so maybe their project doesn't get funded even though it would be a better project.
But I think this is what crowdfunding does in the way of, before you had to be greenlit by somebody who had money, who had connections. That's why we have so many crappy movies. Now it's, hey man, I got an idea, I'm going to throw it in front of the world. If you like it, give me money. If you don't, then don't. And so we look at Kickstarter, we look at GoFundMe and all of that stuff. And you see the projects that get funded are usually pretty good projects that everybody's like, especially Carlos, you funded about 32 projects in this week alone. But usually the ones that get funded are the ones that deserve it. It's not the ones that thunder. If you have a crappy idea and you happen to have thousands of friends on your Facebook page, they all seem to find a way to get out of giving you money. Like, I just had a 3-headed baby and the medical expenses. Like, bro, I just amputated my leg the other day. I wasn't expecting this. I don't have the extra cash. Like, if it's a good idea, though, you'll see people, they'll reach out to people and say, hey, man, you got to check this out. You'll see them sharing the link because it's a good idea. There was a 2D animation from a guy who used to work at Disney. I think he posted it. He's doing a hand-drawn steampunk animation, and he needed, I think he was asking for $60,000, and he got like $230,000. Yeah. Now, that wasn't because of who he knew. Nobody knew him. He wasn't a big name. Even though he had this great working record, he worked with Disney, and he did all of these movies. People jumped on board because of his work, and I like that. So now, you can be a nobody, but if you can produce a package and a good idea and say, hey, here's my idea package, will you help me? Everybody's on board. They're like, this is a good idea. Now, on the flip side of the coin, you could have worked for everybody in the world. You could be sitting next to Jack at an animation studio, right? You come up with a crappy idea, Jack's not going to give you a lollipop, let alone money, right? And I like that because now the game is fair. It's not who you know, it's what do you have to offer.
Yeah, what are you offering that's different?
Yeah.
Well, and I think like with some projects, it becomes a little bit different. Like if you're looking at a Kickstarter versus like a Patreon, a Patreon page is a monthly subscription that at any point in time, that person who's giving you money can just back out. They're done. They don't want to give you money anymore because you aren't living up to what you said you're going to or whatever. They can stop. Kickstarter, I think, is a little bit different in terms of that kind of funding, is because once you've given them your money, it's gone. That's a one-time thing. Giving them certain levels and things like that. But you have to live up to the goals that you've set for that Kickstarter, and if you don't, you're going to hear about it. Yeah, but I think you're right. I think it weeds out some of the bad ideas by just crowd people saying we don't want to fund this.
But I like the Kickstarter idea more than I do the GoFundMe or the Patreon, and here's why. Because sometimes people don't recognize how long it takes for an artist to create. Like if you're working a full-time job, you have a family, or you're doing other things, in their head they think, okay, this should take you 2 months. In reality, it takes you a year and a half to get it done, right?
Yeah.
And so what I'd like to do is say, well, I promise you when I'm done, whenever that is, you get a full covered book, colored hardback, and I sign it, right? Now I know in 2 years you may send me a book. It may be in 5 years, but I own that book. You're going to send it to me and I get it. But Patreon, you may be in the middle of a project and you may hit a road. Like you may say, okay, I can't figure out how to do this the way it is in my head, so I'm stuck, right?
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden your backers are just backing out because you're stuck. And so that may force you to just produce to say you produced instead of producing what it is you want to produce. Like
you want to.
You may hit
Robot Indie, they do a great job of that, right? They'll say, hey, look, we're gonna make this book. You know who else did that? Charlie, what's the company where they do the sketches and they post it and it's the crazy creatures and it's I think they went to our
Creature
school
Box.
too. Creature Box, right? Their book was beautiful, right? It took a really long time, but they said, hey, we're going to give you a copy of the book. Well, you can buy a paperback, you can get a hardcover, you can do all of these things by donating this amount. And when we finish, whenever that is, we'll get you a copy.
Right.
Cool. I get that. That's Patreon. It's like, man, I get 200 people to sign up. I get a nice check for a couple months. Then all of a sudden, I'm not able to produce like they want me to, and all of a sudden I go from 200 down to 50. I'm screwed.
I think that could happen, but I don't think that I don't know how much that's happening as much. But it is uncertain because it's kind of like that subscription-based thing. If you have like a channel, and on all these different streaming services,
Right.
people are residually like giving you $5 a month, to produce content. Maybe it makes them a little bit more honest in terms of what they're giving out. But yeah. I do like that. I do agree with you, Tyrus, on one of the things where you have to earn it more with Kickstarter, or you don't get anything. And I think GoFundMe and also what's the other one? It's kind of like Kickstarter, Indiegogo. You do get some kind of residual amount if you hit a certain goal or something. Don't quote me on it. I have to go back and look at those two sites.
No, you're right. You're right. You do get a percentage if you hit a certain part of your goal, right? Yeah.
Which to me it's not as like, well, I won't say it's not as cool for fundraiser stuff. It's kind of cool, but if it's like a project that you're trying to get off the ground and you want people to buy into your product and believe in you, like Kickstarter is all or nothing. Like you either do it or you don't. And sometimes having that safety net maybe doesn't.
They're actually
the best product. Yeah.
Both of those sites, both Indiegogo and Kickstarter, have where you can select which one you want to do. So you can do the hard set one. Yeah, you can do the hard set one where it's all or nothing. But then you can also do the variable one. And the way that it works, I know at least on Indiegogo, the way that it works is if you reach your goal, they take away a smaller percentage than if you just get a portion of it. If you just get a portion of it, they take a bigger percentage of the final chunk. But then the difference with Patreon is, like, let's say you have an open-ended project. Kickstarter, you go in, you say, this is my project, this is my budget. If we can accomplish this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Whereas Patreon, you have an open-ended. That's why all the webcomic people are going towards Patreon, because a webcomic like Robots and Aliens, I don't know when that's going to end. I don't know if it's ever going to end. So if I did go, I'd be like, yeah, this is an open-ended project, but obviously I got bills, blah blah blah. So with people giving into the Patreon, then you'd be able to focus on your project and not have to. You're constantly delivering. You're delivering every week.
Yeah.
And you can set it up in a couple different ways, where like people can kick in every month. Yeah. And then just continuously, they know that you're working on something, so you continue to do that. Or like if you're working on a comic strip or an animation, you can actually pay for each one of those. Every time I submit something, you get charged.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So imagine a baby Kickstarter. Like every time I come out with a comic strip, you get charged, or every month. And then that's obviously the difference between Patreon and Kickstarter.
Yeah,
so you guys think
for some artists it's doing really good for us.
So basically, you guys think that Kickstarter is kind of like what capitalism's supposed to be like. Like the market will dictate what
supply and demand.
Because think about it, like Tyrus said, like maybe you don't have those friends that wanna contribute, and maybe there's some of them that you do have a good project and it should be, but maybe other ones don't think your project's as good. Because obviously if it was really good and it was doing well, then people would kind of want to help and kind of want to help out. So I don't know. I like the way it is, and especially with the art projects when they do succeed, or the game projects, because like you said before, also you can run into bugs, especially with a game. A game is not an easy thing to make at all.
No.
Carlos,
Right.
you've seen that fair share of that, and like you can run into bugs. So like to be put on a strict deadline of your Kickstarter is a tall order to be able to deliver to people.
Well, I mean, anything, anything you're talking about with art, if you're trying to do, like, so it's one thing to go to work and just produce, right? You're producing and you're like, this is good enough. You often say this is good enough. But the whole thing about a Kickstarter, usually it's a project that someone is passionate about. They're not necessarily trying to make a living from it. If they happen to make a living, great. It's really like, hey, man, this idea has been in my head for years. I need to make this happen. I need to fulfill this desire to complete this. Do you guys believe in it? If you do, jump on board, right?
Right.
That's just a little different because now you want the very best to happen. You literally want to produce the best art you could possibly produce or the best movie. And now what happens if your 3D animator walks off while you're working on the project? You can't control that, right? What happens if somebody gets a job and they move out to California or move to Louisiana and gets fired after a week? It happens, So it's a lot of uncontrollable variables that are connected to it. And so just look, get in something where you get the money and you have time to work. The way that Carlos explained it, it made sense too. Where as long as you're delivering, you keep getting the money. If that's how it works, that's good. That's cool. But if it's not, if it's how I'm hearing it works, maybe now for a comic book guy or a comic strip guy, that's different because obviously you can produce. It's only you're only doing a strip. Not that that's easy, but you can control a lot more variables. But if you're doing a movie animation, telling a story, a long-term story, it's so many things that could happen.
Yeah.
Like anthrax or getting hit by lightning, herpes. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff out there that'll slow you down. You run out of vowel tracks. Bird flu.
Being black.
Swine flu.
Wow.
Police.
Charles. What the? But yeah, that's the difference. That's the difference between the two platforms. Where if you have a set project, go Indiegogo and go Kickstarter. Go to what's the other one that you guys said? GoFundMe.
GoFundMe.
Yeah, do that.
GoFundMe one though.
That's what those are for. If you have an open-ended project, take a look at Patreon.
Yeah.
Or if it's going to be like a long-term thing. If you know you have your time scheduled out and you have your budget in place, but it's going to be a long-term project, it might make sense to go to Patreon.
Yeah.
Just because I think when people go to Kickstarter, there's a time limit to where people feel comfortable waiting for your project.
Okay. Yeah.
Like imagine if we decided to do Sketch Zone the musical.
Nope.
just shut it down.
And we need to start a Kickstarter to have Tyrus's tights come in. No one's gonna want to wait 2 to 3 years for our project to mature and then to actually be delivered. Whereas as in the Patreon arena, people understand that it's going to take a while. So then they'll be like, oh, okay, cool. We'll just give you a little stipend every month.
But isn't it with the Patreon though? They're looking for something each month. I thought that was a little bit different though.
Yeah. Right. You have to
because Patreon is a monthly subscription where each month you're gonna get some type of content.
Some kind of content, right?
So the DeviantArt community really picked up on this, where like there's some really famous, DeviantArt has a lot of amateur and a lot of younger kids on it also, but there's a lot of comic book artists and famous illustrators on DeviantArt also. So when they moved over to Patreon, there's some YouTube personalities and these guys are just making a killing, but they also saying, I'm giving you this time lapse, animation of me working in Photoshop. I'm also going to give you this tutorial on how to do hair. You're going to learn how to do reflections on glass. So for like a 2D artist, that's awesome because they're getting content each month,
right?
And they're delivering on that content. And some of them are going annually. They're not saying, okay, cool, this guy is going to be good. I'm just going to go ahead and pay for the year. So and then get So it might be more pressure on a Patreon.
Well, let's talk about the project that Tyrus was talking about earlier, the one that I shared with you guys on Facebook. The name of the guy is Jamie. Where did it go? Jamie Lopez, I think it was. Yeah, Jamie Lopez, and the name of his project is Hullabaloo. It's Hullabaloo Steampunked Animated Film.
Is this round two?
Huh?
Is this round 2 of this? I feel like I saw this like last year. Is he?
Well,
I think this is new. It happened. He got funded.
It happened late last year.
Yeah,
he got funded late last year. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He was funded. He had a budget. He was asking for a budget of. Actually, this is on Indiegogo, but he asked for 80,000. He ended up with 470,000. Awesome. And some of the things that he's doing while the production of this animation is happening is he's having people log in and they're gonna do Google Hangouts. And
he's doing
gonna have like tutorials, and he's gonna do, he's gonna have like, oh, this is the kind of stuff that we have done this week, and so he's gonna keep people up to date with the process of the project and everything. And I think the really cool thing is that he's actually reaching out and giving people tutorials or offering people tutorials to be able to, so he's using the film, and while he's doing the film, this is my guess what he's doing, but he's doing the film, and as he's creating the film, he's also recording, oh, this is what I'm doing, this is how I think this should go, and this is hair, and this is how you draw hair, blah, blah, blah. So it's really cool to see someone approach it in this way, where you're not going to just get this movie, you're also going to get an education along the lines.
Yeah, that's a really good idea, because he only asked for 80,000 and almost got 500,000. I tell you what, if I were to do a Kickstarter or Indiegogo and I ask for 80,000, you guys give me 500,000, I'm going to Sweden. Okay. Neutral territory. Listen, I just want to be honest. We're all family here. Everybody out there in that land. Make sure you keep it under 400. Give, but when you see it going, cut it out, because I've already told you if it hits 500, I'm going to Sweden. I might take my wife. I might not.
I love how he's looking around now. He's like, he's thought about this already. He's in here.
I gotta map this out, dude. You can't just run into things like this. And I'm willing to share with you guys any advice, any ideas. It's tax-free out there, neutral ground. Nobody's coming to get me for embezzling or whatever the rules or laws are. Yeah. Let's talk about this after the show, guys. We need to do a Kickstarter.
We'll do a new podcast. We'll call it Robbed Zone. Thief Zone. Nothing.
Crickets.
Oh man!
Thank you, Jack.
You guys don't know good entertainment when it hits you in the face.
Oh my gosh! Pause.
I'm pretty sure we do.
So good. Pretty sure I know what I'm doing.
So while we're talking about animation and such, Charlie found a story about basically the future of animation. It was Oculus's story studio.
Yeah. So what it is Oculus is VR, and VR is having a resurgence, right?
What's VR?
Virtual reality.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. You done? Thank you. So they're having like a resurgence, and like one of the cool things that's happening the last 2 years is that in the gaming sector, the engines that all these studios use are the proprietary engines that they create, not even just the commercial ones. They have now kind of caught up to what you can do with a pre-rendered scene. So they're looking amazing. So then on top of this, you have this amazing software with Oculus Rift that it's a headset and it's VR. So when you put the headset on, you can look around. There's games and stuff being made. But we talked about this last podcast a little bit, and what happened was really Tyrus?
No, continue, please. I'm just doing a commercial on the
commercial
side.
break. Charlie's segment is brought to you by Halls. Okay, anyway, so back to your regularly scheduled podcast. So what happened is now they're kind of merging these things together, right? So engines no longer look like Mario Brothers. You know, they look awesome. You can make amazing things. They're also going for free. So Unreal Engine 4 is free. You know, Oculus can be used with Unreal. And we talked about this last week about a company called Magic Leap, and we talked about Weta and how everybody's jumping on this virtual reality, VR or augmented reality type hype train. There's a lot of talks about it this year with the upcoming SIGGRAPH and stuff like that conference in LA. And what they've been doing is they're thinking about changing the way you go to movies, right? And changing the way we think a movie should be watched, or an animation should be watched, or a feature-length film. And they're creating this really cool animated feature using the Oculus Rift. And they're saying that this is the way that we're going to consume entertainment. So they made this really compelling animated film called Henry, which I think is a porcupine or a hedgehog. And they're saying that like the experience is totally transformative because now you're like sitting there and you're watching the animation, but you're in the world while the movie's being taken place. And they're going to do things with the Oculus Rift where the main character Henry will actually look at you and wave to you while he's doing the story, and kind of interact with you and like kind of make you a part of it. Yeah.
That sounds transformative, Charlie.
Yeah. So
why am I waiting for a punchline?
I know. I was waiting too. Yeah, that's very Fahrenheit 451, where you're completely immersed in it. That sounds.
It's very interesting.
It's all going to be fun and games until they come out with that one movie that you have your VR glasses on, and the little kid with the black eyes shows up. Is like, hey, and you're trying to like walk away, and her head just keeps, and she's staring at you all freaky like.
Some people who like want horror films, maybe that'd be like the biggest rush for them now. Actually put them inside the horror film. What would you do then? Oh, don't go down that hallway. That whole like, there's so many things you could do, you know. And all these people always talk about what they need to do, and they're yelling at the screen. Okay, now let's see what you do. You know, it's interesting. And just imagine if it's like a Pixar movie, huh?
Is that only for the Oculus Rift, or is that also like for Project Morpheus, or?
See, they haven't talked about this. This is just with this particular what Oculus is doing. One of the many things that Oculus is doing. We have a couple buddies that work at Oculus now, and they're doing a bunch of stuff. So they have a whole gaming section, which they realized that before Oculus has been pretty cool, but they haven't had a really jaw-dropping game yet. But now that they have even more money, they're putting like a dedicated team, and just like say at Epic, they put out, Unreal Tournament, or they put out Gears of War, and it's the best looking thing with that tech. Oculus finally got the hint that we need to have a dedicated team to make these, make the tech look the best it can be, so everybody else can then have a barometer to go by. But then they have this whole section, this other section that's doing this. So they're like creating special departments or partnering with special studios. I couldn't gather if they were with Oculus or if they were a standalone studio, a Story Studio, because that's what they call the studio, Story Studio. I think they're backed by Oculus also. And this is what they're doing. They're trying to create a feature film experience, but in a different way, where it's more interactive. And you sit there and watch basically like a cartoon, but it's it's 3D, and it interacts with you a little bit as you watch the cartoon.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of curious to see how this works out, because Motorola, late last year, released a free short, basically the same idea on one of their phones. I don't know if it was one of the new phones, and you downloaded it, you upgraded your system. It was called A Windy Day, and it was kind of this mouse that had a red hat in a forest, and it was, you know, since it was on this was on a phone and not an Oculus or like a headset, but it was still the same, you know, 360, and it was running live in a game engine. So the interesting part about this, though, is because it's interactive, it's
sound wave. We can't. You're just getting all. We're getting all static.
You're getting metal, Jack. He'll fix it real quick.
Now, if I didn't like it, I would have called you Bumblebee. Oh, yellow doom bucky head looking. But anyway, let's.
Why you talk about his hairline, yo?
I didn't say. I said I would have. I would have. I didn't. I'm not talking about Jack. It's all right. And by the way,
Jack, you back?
Jack has never hit me with crickets ever.
That's because you put him to sleep.
All right.
You're back. Yeah, you're good. Let's go. Everybody else, be quiet.
I was just saying, Motorola on one of their phones late last year released a thing called a Windy Day. Same idea. It's an animated short, and it's running live in a game. So it's not a headset. It was running on a phone, but it was the same idea, full 360, and it kind of interacted with you. And the thing I kind of thought interesting and also kind of weird, and I think what the industry is going to have to adapt to, at least in storytelling, is it's kind of strange because it's hard to direct the viewer's attention with this, because it's full 360 and you can look anywhere, and you're you want to, and so you're not necessarily looking where the action is. And the cool thing about the live game is it's waiting. It essentially waits for you. Like kind of the mouse is sitting there tapping his foot while you explore, and then you come back, or he makes a noise to redirect your attention. And that's cute and like quirky for something like that, but in a whole feature directing the viewer's attention to where it needs to be, I think is going to be kind of interesting. And I don't know how well it's going to work. I think every project I've seen has kind of stumbled a little bit with that. And so far, I've kind of only seen it as like a novelty rather than really, really successfully done. Yeah. So I'm kind of curious as how they're going to carry a whole feature with that.
So here's how they could do that, because with this, what they're using for this is the Unreal Engine 4. It's a game engine. So since they're using Unreal Engine 4, direct the player's attention or the viewer's attention like you would in a game. So they don't have I don't think they would have the same restrictions you would if it was just done with like a pre-rendered like the
well, no, and that's what I'm saying, because this the Windy Day was a game engine, right? So it was. They can wait for you, and they can wait for sound cues until your attention is directed. But kind of the point of it, the whole point of the VR experience is that you can look around and kind of go wherever you want. So,
or if they curate that experience, if you are looking away, Henry comes over and like, hey, look at this, check this out. I want to talk to you about this. Yeah. And it can maybe make you feel a little better that way too.
They put you on rails. Like you're constantly moving with the character, yet you can still look around and see everything, and then maybe it pauses every now and then so you can totally look around. But kind of like the old shooters, the laser gun shooters in the arcades and stuff like that. You walk on rails, and you just be looking around in that environment. So
I like the idea of being off rails. And you know how I used to play those? Well, they still have those mystery PlayStation games where you have to find a hidden key in a book, but they never tell you that to release a certain path in a level. So imagine walking into a room off rails where the lead character could be heading toward the window, but you make a left and you go to the bookshelf, and you just move your hands and you say, oh, I found a key. That allows you to do other things. Now, if you don't find a key, that's great too, because now you have more time to explore that game, just like Call of Duty or anything else. If you have those nest eggs, I think Easter eggs, right? Now the game becomes deeper, more fun, and you spend more time in it. So instead of finishing a game in 4 hours, it takes you 24 hours. You get more for your money that way. So I like that way better than riding the rails through, because now it's like, we're going right back to traditional video games where everything is forced. You follow a path, and then you wrap the game up.
Yeah, but this was more for the movie section or the story section, and even though they're using the in-game engines, they're creating a theatrical experience with that. But yeah, I agree. If you could do that as an interactive, let's say 7th Guest or 11th Hour kind of thing, oh man.
If you did like a Which Way book, you could. So like Tyler said, if you found that key, that just unlocks a different storyline that goes down, and the main character walks over to you like, oh, I've been looking for this, and then it goes to something else, But if you never would have walked over there, he would have went over to.
Yeah, he would have just continued to move.
Done
Yeah,
something
right.
else, right?
So you could actually think about this. You could actually explore and become a star or part of the movie if you find it. Now that's a brilliant idea because now you could be a part of, let's say, Clue, right? And you actually can find the clue. Then the lead character could come over and interact with you and go, "Thanks for that. I needed that." And now you've just become a part of the movie. Now that's a movie-going experience.
And what if everybody had a headset on, and you're that one person
everybody
in the theater that did it, right? So now,
the whodunits.
Yeah, you could be like, "Oh, such and such found this. Thank you." Everybody else like, "Man, I didn't find it." They get all like jealous.
Everybody else gets Charlie.
You know what? This is the point in time where we just go back to me being amazing in that Pinterest page I have. And, I'm willing to weather this storm because of the greatness that I've created through Pinterest, the partnership that I have with Pinterest. So it's okay. It's okay, Tyrus. I forgive you. And
This
Pinterest
section of the program is brought to you by Halls.
and Pinterest.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No one's coughing at all. Paul's, holla at your boy. So what story would you guys like to tell if once this technology advances to the point where it's really cool, what story, Tyrus, would you tell? Go.
How I met. Well, the first story I'd like to tell is how I met Carlos's mom, and I'd like for that to be in the Oculus so everybody could see everything.
Actually,
from the Craigslist post, from the Craigslist post to the.
Actually, they do have something like that they're working on, that your mom was a star of, and then they actually made a fleshlight built off of her too. But it's weird because you can only park cars in it.
Crickets.
You're killing me.
Thank you, Jack.
Good one. That was a good one.
That was so amazingly awkward.
Just nothing.
Carlos, if you would have stopped with the flashlight, you would have been cool. Then you went to like the car. It's cool to watch you derail. If you just be quiet, you'll derail your own joke. I don't have to run it. If I just be quiet, you'll do it for me. Like, go ahead, Carlos, keep talking.
The car thing made it so weird.
Go ahead, Ricky and Ricardo, continue. Talk.
But one more thing before we move on. How cool is it though that like game engines are at a quality now where they're driving animated shorts, and like even like in the sector of like architectural rendering and stuff like that, like film artists are finding that they don't want to wait for render times anymore, and they're seeing all these different amazing games being put out that are like looking at the same quality if you put the time in, and you don't have to wait, especially with architectural designers and stuff. They're saying they're loving it because they don't have to use Octane, they don't have to use Corona or V-Ray or any of these things. It can get the same quality. I can show you blog posts, maybe I'll put it in the show notes, where like there's an article where they had a scene rendered in V-Ray and one rendered in Unreal 4, and it looks almost identical. But the one guy can actively walk around the room, move around, and like get the best lighting situations or even better without having needed a render farm or anything. It's awesome. So then maybe these movies and stuff with the VR stuff can be made, that much quicker because you don't have to wait for
relatively
renders and stuff like that. They can spend more time on how good the animations and design is rather than worrying about this is going to take this long to render down and composite and all this other stuff.
True. The only thing I worry about with that kind of stuff, like if we speed it up, is that we just end up with reality TV movies. It's like this. It becomes so inexpensive for them to let the user create the content than them creating the content and you're experiencing it.
No, what I was meaning is more so that like you could put the time in other places to make it look better than.
True. No, right. Yeah, I'm just because whenever you start looking at, hey, we can do this to save money, the people with the money are like, where else can we save money? It's like, but no, you still want to put out a good product, and I think that would be a very good way to do it, is to let the people be more interactive, kind of like what Tyrus was saying, and like finding the key and stuff. But being able to create your own content, I just worry that it becomes more reality aspects of it, so less scripty.
Yeah.
And now
5 Hour.
we're sponsored by 5 Hour Energy.
I told you, bro.
No,
Check,
we're not.
the checks,
No,
the
we're
checks
not.
in the mail. Don't worry about it.
No, we're not. 5 Hour Energy tastes like what cancer tastes like.
Boy, am I tired. I need to make it through the rest of the show. I tell you what I'll do. I'll try this 5 Hour Energy Extra.
What's extra, Tyrus?
Because how dare you? Don't you encourage him.
Well, Extra gives you that extra boost to go a little bit longer. Pause.
Oh, don't do the whole bottle.
Stupid.
Delicious.
Revitalize?
And tastes great in milk.
Pause.
So great.
This show is dedicated to Jack.
Jack, yeah. Give
He
me
has been the
MVP.
man tonight with about 7 words. He's won the show.
Whatever you ate before you came on? Well, I don't know what it is.
So,
But keep doing it.
so let's talk about one last topic before we call it a day.
It better be a
No,
good
keep
one.
going. Keep going. Don't stop.
He's got 5 Hour Energy.
Energy.
I got 5 Hour.
We can go extra.
Why
time.
should we stop? I feel energized.
We have the extra strength.
Oh, boy. So, apparently people are getting into 3D weaving.
Wait, what?
So you can take a 3D printer and print out a new garment.
Ooh.
Have you guys heard anything about this at all?
Yeah, there's this
No.
new program. I can't think of it right now. It's amazing. So my sister's a seamstress and my mom's a seamstress, and we were actually talking about it. It starts with an M. I can't think of the name.
Marvelous Designer?
Marvelous Designer, and it's a. You don't like it, Charlie? You like?
I love it.
But he's pinned
Amazing.
Oh,
It's
well,
amazing. No.
You pinned about it. Scott said you pinned about it already.
I do have a pin about Marvelous Designer.
Gosh, shut up, Charlie.
In the
Nobody
tutorial
cares.
section.
Oh
Go
my
ahead on
goodness,
Pinterest.com/CharlieBW3.
Charlie.
And under my tutorial section, there is a section about Marvelous Designer. It's amazing.
Make a pin about these nuts. Okay. So back to Marvelous Designer. No, it's a really good program because because you can use it. You can use it as a 3D artist, but you can use it in other walks of life. So my sister was talking about how it's hard to find patterns in order to create clothes, right? So she's an artist in a different way. Well, you can use this program to create your own patterns and to create your own designs and see exactly what the pattern should be for cutting out the material and how to put it together. It's brilliant. I mean, it's equal to 3D Max and Maya for clothing design. I mean, that's what it is. It's a great tool. And they give 30 days. I think they give 30-day downloads too, right?
You can actually run simulations with it too.
Yeah, cloth simulations. So after you make the pattern, and you have a 2D mode, and then you have the 3D mode. So you make your pattern first, plan out all your stitching and everything, and then once you do that, you then put it on a virtual model, and then you run the simulation for a certain amount of time. But you can pause it wherever when you have the folds, just like you like it, and then keep going that way.
What can you do to get the folds the way you like it?
You can pause the simulation.
Yeah. Yeah. Scott, thank you for coming out. God bless. Good night.
Tyrus, have you tried that program though?
No, it's on. I got a lot of projects that I'm wrapping up. I just finished a commercial.
Yeah.
I'm wrapping up another tutorial right now tonight. I'm going to finish that, and then I have to wrap up a book before the first. And then the next thing on my list, the next software is Marvelous Designer. I want to spend 6 months learning it, mastering it.
That'd be like a really.
I already made your mom some crotchless panties. You guys are.
We just know where you're going with it. You're not hitting anything new here.
Oh man,
Scott's
getting on it too.
That's like your father sitting you down. This is why you're not funny right now. You're not hitting your points.
New material.
Making any sense. We know where you're going with it.
This is your contract. Iris already owned all of the mother jokes.
Can't stand you guys. That's going to be a really good point to call it a day.
So, Carlos, where can we find you? Where can we find you, Carlos?
You guys are not into it this week. I apologize to the audience. These guys are sleeping.
I'm going to have to try to recover right now because I didn't go. This is your conscience.
Get the laugh track back on.
Maybe I need to wrap it up.
Maybe I should blame it on the rest of the team. Yeah, that'll work. Those guys are not with it this week. That's what the problem is. It's not me and my questions. It's the guys.
They just don't understand where I'm coming.
Yeah, and you guys are talking about my jokes. So, Scott Carey from Ideal. If people are looking for you, where can they find you?
I am on Twitter at Scary2003.
And your company is idealpop.com.
Yes.
Charlie B. Williams, if people are looking for you, where can they find you?
Yes. Pinterest.
Jack.
He was waiting.
Jack was unstoppable. He was like,
Yeah, Jack. He was like,
Jack has been waiting for an hour and a half.
He was waiting.
to drop that one.
Jack knows what it is. Hold on.
I think it's Charlie BW3.
Charlie,
Isn't it?
knock it
The
off.
blue blockers.
Knock it off.
Buddy. So you can find me.
Spectre Man glasses wearing
Oh,
them.
Moss Death.
Twitter.
Look at he's about to go play a piano
that's
right
just
down
the-
now.
That's just the peasants trying to chime in on my offer.
Hey, you look like a gay Geordie from Star Trek with those. blue blocker wearing them.
So you can find me at cargocollective.com/Charlie B. Williams. There's amazing artwork there that'll change.
You can find Charlie in Boys Town with those glasses on.
Don't listen to the guy in the Mr. Clean t-shirt.
We need to give Tyrus some 2-hour energy because
You can also find me on Pinterest.com/CharlieBW3. There's amazing work there that's going to help your life.
And none of it is yours.
No, there is some. There's some stuff. You know what's on there? My pup. My dog is on there. He's amazing. He's got all type of likes. It's reference. Help you study.
Oh my God.
It's great. I hate everyone on this podcast, including the guest today.
It's not even.
Get it to you.
Jack Kasperzak, where can people find you?
On Jake Parker's Twitter feed.
and on Pinterest.com/CharlieBWilliams3.
That Pinterest does not exist.
That's Charlie BW3.
It's messed up again.
I'm at sketchbookjack.com, sketchbookjack on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest.
Yeah. Come on, the movement.
And Tyrus Gaucher, dare we ask?
This has been a fun show. Scott, thank you for coming in tonight and hanging out with us.
Oh, appreciate it, guys.
And sharing your expertise with us and everybody else out there in internet land. We enjoyed you and the things you talked about. Jack, good job today. You really did a good job on the board. You hit a lot of crickets. And you were spot on. I mean, this was the best Jack we've seen in about 2 months. We want you to keep that up. Hey, Charlie, listen, that Pinterest thing, keep it going. There's some money in it somewhere someday. We don't know when or where, but you Keep digging. You'll find your well and your water. Carlos, the mom jokes. Work on them. You got a good week. Next week, come back firing hard. Okay? Pause. Now you can find me at TigoSketch.com. You can find me on Facebook, Tigo Sketch like a mug. You can find me on Twitter, Tigo Sketch too. And I'm on Instagram, Tigo Sketch. Holla at your boy when you see me in the streets. Peace out. Y'all have a good night. We're done.
But he's not on
Carlos,
Pinterest.
just hit the button. Say, we're done.
He's not on Pinterest.
Moving on.
I'm not on Pinterest because I got skills, Charlie. All right, I got my own Pinterest.
Not on Pinterest because he's lost. I'm Carlos Gomez. You can find me at carlosrgomez.com. You can also find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Coconut Justice. This has been the Sketch Zone podcast. You can go to sketch.zone, submit your artwork, and if you win, you get to come hang out with us. Charlie is so very much doing what? Look at, he's cold. He's wearing a flannel and he's cold.
Ray Charles like this.
Yeah.
Hey, Charlie, go grab your wife by the wrist.
You can go to sketch.zone. Artwork, you can come hang out with us. If you're looking for us on Twitter, we're at SketchZone. You can go to Facebook, facebook.com/TheSketchZone. YouTube is youtube.com/SketchZonePodcast. You can also find us on Stitcher, SoundCloud. You can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. Thank you, everyone, for coming to hang out. Have a good week. Say goodbye, Ray Charles.
It's a pleasure.